Every night, he fell asleep facing away from me, while I lay awake wondering if he even loved me anymore. Then one day, someone else made me laugh, a laugh I had forgotten I had. It started with small conversations, then lingering touches, then a connection I couldn't ignore. My husband didn't notice until one evening. He reached for me and I pulled away. "What's wrong?" he asked. I met his eyes and whispered, "I stopped waiting for you." His breath hitched, and that's when he knew someone else had taken his place. We've been married 21 years. Mark and I met when I was 22. We were both fresh out of college. He had just landed a job in IT, and I was working 2 part-time gigs trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to do. He had kind eyes, a dry sense of humor, and this way of making you feel safe. Back then, I thought that was enough. We got married a year later. We bought a small house in Beaverton, Oregon. We didn't have much, but we had each other, and in your 20s, that feels like everything. For a while, it was enough. The house got fuller, first a dog, then 2 kids. I became a high school teacher. He moved up the ladder at his company. We lived a life people would call good. From the outside, we looked like a stable, happy family. But inside the house and inside my body, it felt like something was slowly dying. It started small. Always does. He stopped talking to me unless it was about the kids or bills or dinner. He stopped sitting next to me on the couch. We'd watch TV, but never together. He'd be scrolling his phone while I'd pretend to care about whatever show we were watching. Sex stopped. At first, it was, "He's tired," or "We're busy." Then it was weeks. Then months. I tried. I really did. I brought up therapy. He said we didn't need it. I tried lingerie. He chuckled and said I didn't need to do all that. But he didn't touch me. I planned date nights. He always had a reason to cancel: work emergency, too tired, kid stuff. I'd lie awake at night, listening to his breathing while he faced the wall. Every single night. Never turned to face me. Not once in years. He never held me. Never asked how I was doing. I don't think he even knew who I was anymore. And the scariest part? I didn't know if I loved him anymore either. Then, last fall, Noah got hired as the new art teacher at my school. He was 35, had this disheveled, artsy look. Messy hair, wore mismatched socks, and made everyone in the staff room laugh. He'd been divorced for a year. Said it was mutual, but I saw the sadness in his eyes sometimes. We ended up working together on the winter assembly. We stayed late a few nights at school, painting banners and organizing performances. He'd bring snacks and play old 90s music on his phone. It was easy. Comfortable. The first time he made me laugh, really laugh, I nearly cried. I had forgotten how it felt. One day, I mentioned a poem I loved, and he quoted it back to me, word for word. Mark hadn't looked me in the eyes in months. Noah looked me in the eyes every time we spoke. I didn't plan for it to go anywhere. I wasn't looking to cheat. But something in me started shifting. We'd text after school. At first, it was harmless. Funny memes, silly complaints about students, teacher stuff. Then it became, "How's your day?" and "You looked tired today, you okay?" I started dressing differently. Not for him. Just for me. But I noticed he noticed. He always noticed. He'd compliment my earrings. Or say my smile was nice. Things I hadn't heard from my husband in years. And I'd lie in bed next to Mark, listening to him snore, wondering if he'd notice if I disappeared. I don't mean in a dark way. Just vanished. Slipped through the cracks. I was already halfway gone. One night, after a long day, I stayed behind with Noah to fix the stage light. He was up on a ladder, I was holding it steady. He looked down at me and said, "You hold a lot together, don't you?" That one sentence hit me like a truck. He wasn't just talking about the ladder. He saw me. And I didn't realize how badly I needed to be seen. The first time he touched me, he brushed hair out of my face. We weren't even talking. I was reading something out loud, and he just reached out and did it. His fingers grazed my cheek, and I felt my entire chest clench up. It wasn't sexual. It was soft. Human. I hadn't been touched like that in years. That night, I went home and stood in the doorway while Mark watched TV with his face lit by the screen. I stood there for a full minute. He didn't look up. Didn't ask why I was just standing there. I went to bed alone. A week later, I kissed Noah. We were in his classroom. It was raining outside, the kind of Portland rain that's soft and steady. I was crying, talking about how I didn't know who I was anymore. He just stepped closer and held my face in both hands. "I don't want you to feel invisible," he said. And then he kissed me. It wasn't rough. It wasn't heated. It was slow, sad, kind. Like he was apologizing for every year I spent being ignored. I kissed him back. And then I pulled away. "I'm married." "I know," he said. "But you're also alone." I went home that night and crawled into bed next to Mark. He didn't even ask why I was late. It didn't become a full affair. There was no sex. Just touches, long hugs, kisses, Conversations that went deeper than I had with anyone in years. I felt guilty. I hated myself for feeling happy. I hated that I'd wake up and check my phone hoping to see a message from Noah. That my heart would beat fast when I saw his name. But I also hated that my husband didn't notice anything had changed. I could have tattooed, "I'm drowning" on my forehead, and he still would have asked what's for dinner. Then came the night that broke it all. I had been distant, quieter, going to bed earlier. He finally noticed. He reached for me in bed, hand on my hip, and whispered, "You okay?" I froze. My back was to him. I didn't know what to say, so I said the only truth I had left. "I stopped waiting for you." Silence. He pulled his hand back like I burned him. The next morning, he asked me if there was someone else. I didn't lie. I said yes, but not how he thought. There was no sex. But yes, I let someone in. Because I was empty. He said emotional cheating is worse. I didn't argue. He was probably right. We didn't yell. That's the worst part. We just sat there, looking at each other like strangers. He asked me if I still loved him. I couldn't answer. Because I didn't know. Noah and I don't talk like we used to. He knows I need space. He said he cared about me, but he didn't want to be the reason I blew up my life. He offered to transfer to another school. I told him he didn't need to. He did anyway. Said he wanted me to figure out what I wanted without any pressure. And now I'm here. In this weird in-between. Mark and I still live together. We go through the motions. We smile for the kids. We talk logistics. But I sleep on the edge of the bed. He still turns his back. Only now I do too. I don't know what happens next. But I know I can't keep pretending. I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of being invisible. And I'm tired of waiting. If anyone's ever felt this, like your body is still there, but your soul checked out years ago, you're not crazy. You're not alone. And no, you're not evil for wanting more than survival. If you're holding everything together all the time, marriage, kids, house, job, ask yourself this, who's holding you? It's been 4 weeks since he asked me if there was someone else. 4 weeks since I said yes. 4 weeks since we started pretending again. And somehow, pretending hurts more now. Mark doesn't talk about it. He doesn't ask questions. He doesn't yell. It's like we're both scared to move. Like if we stay frozen long enough, this will pass. But it won't. I don't love him. At least not like I used to. I don't even know what version of him I'm supposed to love anymore. The weird part? Since I admitted to the emotional affair, he's been trying. Like, actually trying. He made dinner twice. He rubbed my back once. He asked me to watch a movie together, and I said yes even though my whole body screamed no. He reached for my hand during the movie, and I let him take it. But all I felt was guilt. Not guilt for what I did with Noah, but guilt for not feeling anything. Then came the real twist. Last week, I found out Mark has been talking to someone too. I only found out because he left his iPad open on the kitchen counter. I wasn't snooping. I swear. It just popped up, a message from a woman named Alicia. It said, "I can't wait to see you again." That night meant more than I can say. My stomach dropped. I stood there staring at it for probably 3 whole minutes. Then I opened the conversation. Hundreds of messages. All friendly, some flirty, a few straight up romantic. And one that hit me like a truck. "I wish I'd met you before I got married." I didn't scream. I didn't throw the iPad. I didn't confront him that night. I just sat in the bathroom with the door locked and cried on the floor for an hour. Not because he cheated, but because I didn't even feel shocked. Here's the kicker. The messages were older than Noah. Some were over 6 months old. That means while I was breaking inside, begging him to see me, he was already gone. I wasn't the first one to stray. I was just the first one to confess. I confronted him the next day. I didn't yell. I just said, "Who is Alicia?" He froze. Then he sat down, hard, like someone unplugged his spine. He didn't deny it. Didn't even try to lie. He said it wasn't physical. He said he wasn't going to act on it. He said it just happened. Sound familiar? I laughed. Actually laughed. A bitter, sharp sound that scared even me. He looked at me like I was the one who broke us. I told him I forgave him. And I meant it. Because in that moment, something clicked. We had both been gone a long time. We were just the last to admit it. But now the problem is this. We're still living together. Still going through the motions. Still putting on a show for the kids, who are not as clueless as we think. Our daughter asked me last night if everything was okay. I lied. I said we were just tired and busy. She nodded like she knew I was full of shit. She's 17. She sees everything. And then, God help me, Noah texted again. After weeks of silence. He said, "I don't know where you are emotionally, but I think about you. I'm here if you need a friend." That word, friend, it split me open. Because I wanted to respond. I really wanted to, but I didn't. I sat on my bed, gripping my phone, staring at the screen, knowing one reply would open a flood I couldn't control. So I turned the phone over and sat in the dark. Mark was downstairs, probably watching SportsCenter and pretending nothing ever happened. Yesterday, another twist. Alicia called me. Yes, she called me. She found my number, probably through Mark's contacts. She said she thought I should know the truth. She told me she and Mark did sleep together. Twice. Hotel in downtown Portland. Once during a business trip, and once when he said he was going to his brother's. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I thanked her, hung up, and sat in my car for 30 minutes before going inside. That night, I didn't say anything. Not yet. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm waiting for him to confess. Maybe because I want him to have the guts I did. Or maybe because I'm just tired of doing the emotional labor. He kissed me on the cheek that night. Like it was 2012 again. I almost vomited. This is the part where people ask, why don't you just leave? Good question. Here's the honest answer, because it's not that easy. We have kids. A mortgage. Joint bank accounts. No prenup. Shared memories. Shared furniture. Shared grief. And because part of me is still afraid of what comes next. Not because I want him, but because I don't know who I am without this story. Who am I if I'm not the wife trying to hold a broken thing together? I haven't texted Noah back. Mark hasn't confessed. I'm sitting in this quiet limbo. Pretending. Smiling at neighbors. Packing school lunches. Going to work. Sleeping next to a man I no longer trust, while thinking about a man who saw me when I was invisible. I'm not okay, but I'm not numb anymore. And I think that's the beginning of something. Even if I don't know it yet. We'll update again if things blow up. They probably will. Because you can only hold your breath for so long before you either scream or finally let go. I haven't written in a few weeks because everything has been chaos. The kind of chaos where everything looks normal from the outside, but inside, it's all crumbling in slow motion. Let me just start with this. I thought I had found the lowest point. Turns out I was wrong. So here's what happened. After Alicia called me and told me about the affair, the real one, the physical one, I waited. I wanted to see if Mark would come clean on his own. He didn't. Days went by. Nothing. He kissed me goodnight, made coffee in the mornings, even picked up dinner once. Playing house. Playing dumb. Maybe both. Finally, I snapped. I said, anything else you want to tell me before I decide if I'm staying or not? He looked confused. Said, what are you talking about? So I just said it. Straight out. I know about the hotel. Downtown. Twice. And I swear to God, his face went white. He sat down. Didn't deny it. Didn't even ask how I knew. Just said, it was a mistake. It meant nothing. I laughed again. That same bitter laugh I hate coming out of my own mouth now. I said, you think it's better if it meant nothing? He didn't answer. That night, we slept in different rooms for the first time since 2004. It felt more honest than anything else we'd done in years. The kids didn't ask. They noticed, obviously. But they didn't ask. I think they're scared of the answer. I don't blame them. So am I. But here's the twist. And I'm still shaking writing this part. About a week ago, I was going through some old storage boxes in the garage. Not snooping. I was just trying to clear out space. And I found a letter. It wasn't hidden. It was in an old notebook with some random papers. But once I read the first few lines, I couldn't stop. It was a letter, to Alicia. Handwritten. From Mark. Dated a year and a half ago. Long before I ever kissed Noah. Long before I even felt the cracks this deep. He wrote about feeling alive again. He said, being with you made me realize how dead I've been inside. He said, I don't know if I'll ever be brave enough to leave her. Leave me. That part broke me. He thought about leaving me a year and a half ago, and stayed, not because of love or the kids, but because he wasn't brave enough. And the whole time, I was lying awake wondering what I was doing wrong. I was learning new recipes, putting on lipstick again, sending him cute texts from work like an idiot, while he was writing goodbye letters he never sent. I haven't told him I found the letter yet. It's sitting in my nightstand drawer. Part of me is waiting for the right time. The other part of me wants him to stew in his silence and see if guilt eats him alive the way it's eaten me. And there's more. Last weekend, I was dropping my son off at his friend's house. The friend's mom, Michelle, has always been sweet. We've done school volunteer stuff together. She pulled me aside when I came to pick him up. She said, I don't mean to get involved, but has Mark been okay? I asked why. She hesitated. Then said, I saw him at a restaurant downtown a few months ago. It was late. He wasn't with you. He was holding someone's hand. Guess who? Not Alicia. Someone else. She remembered because she said she was surprised by how young the woman looked. She thought it was his niece at first, then saw them kiss in the parking lot. So now, we're not just talking about one woman. Or two. There's at least a third. And who knows how many others. Mark, the man who acted like I betrayed him when I kissed Noah, was already out here living a whole second life. And he had the nerve to look hurt when I said I stopped waiting for him. I finally told him I wanted a separation. Real, legal, documented. I said I'd stay in the house until summer for the kids, then I'd move out. He looked like I slapped him. He said, "But I'm trying now." I said, "Too late. You should have tried when I was still fighting for us." He cried. I didn't. Not because I didn't care, but because I was out of tears. I used them all up in 2020, 2021, and 2022 when I begged him to see me and he stared through me. I haven't seen Noah. I didn't text back. I didn't want to bring him into this mess again. But then yesterday I saw him. Not planned. He was at the farmer's market. I was there getting flowers, trying to feel like a person again. He looked older. Sadder. Softer. He smiled. I smiled. We said hi. That was it. But God, I wanted to fall into his arms and sob. Because he was the only person who ever said, "I see you." And he meant it. So that's where I'm at. Living in a house with a man who betrayed me, both emotionally and physically. Trying to hold it together for the kids, while quietly collecting the shattered pieces of myself. Sleeping in the guest room. Eating dinner in silence. Avoiding eye contact. Planning an escape. If you're still reading, thank you. I know this isn't neat. Or easy. Or noble. But it's the truth. And sometimes that's the only thing we have left. I'll post again when I know what's next. Or when I finally walk out the front door and don't look back. Whichever comes first. It happened at a dinner party. A small, casual thing. Neighbors, coworkers, the usual boring suburban mix. Our friends Sarah and Jordan were hosting. We'd already RSVP'd weeks ago, back when we were still pretending. Mark begged me to go, said it'd be good for appearances. I didn't care about appearances anymore, but I was tired of fighting. So I went. Put on a dress I didn't feel like wearing, painted on a smile that didn't reach my eyes. The kids were at my sister's. I told them we had grown-up stuff. They didn't ask questions. That's how things are now, everyone avoiding the landmines. The evening was fine until it wasn't. We were all sitting outside, drinking wine around a patio heater. Sarah brought up the topic of relationships. Said something dumb like, honestly, if a couple makes it past 15 years, they can make it through anything. I smiled politely, sipped my wine. Then Jordan joked, except cheating. That'll still kill it every time. Everyone laughed. Except me. And Mark. Sarah noticed the tension. You guys okay? She said, trying to laugh it off. Mark muttered, we're good. I looked at him and said, are we? He shot me a warning glance. But it was too late. Something inside me broke open. I'm curious, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Mark, which one killed it for you? Alicia? Or the other one from the parking lot? Silence. Dead. Heavy. Silence. Mark froze. Sarah gasped. Jordan whispered, Jesus Christ. Mark stammered. Tessa, don't do this here. No, I said. Let's be honest for once. Let's tell the truth. You didn't just cheat. You planned to leave. You wrote letters. You slept with multiple women while I was home raising our kids and thinking it was my fault you stopped touching me. He stood up. We can talk about this later. No, I said, standing too. We talk about it now. Because I've spent the last 3 years drowning in silence while you got to pretend to be the victim. Everyone was watching. No one stopped me. Mark's face crumpled. He didn't deny it. Couldn't. He just said, I didn't know how to come back. I didn't know how to fix us. I snapped. You didn't try. You never tried. I begged you to talk to me. I begged you to see me. And the one time someone else did, I was the villain. Tears were rolling down my cheeks. I didn't care. You reached for me after someone else held me. You looked for me after I was already gone. And I stopped waiting. Then I said the words I'd been avoiding for months. I'm done. Mark didn't say anything. He just walked out of the backyard, through the house, and drove away. No goodbye. No defense. He was always good at disappearing when it got hard. I stayed a few more minutes. Everyone was awkward and quiet. Sarah brought me water. Jordan gave me a half hug and said, honestly, good for you. People talk when things like this happen. I know that. I heard it at school, too. Mrs. Sutton from admin cornered me in the copy room the next week and said, I always knew something was off with him. You're glowing now, by the way. People mean well, but they don't know the weight. The grief of a life you thought was real. The way a home can turn into a haunted house overnight. Mark moved out 2 weeks later. He stayed in a motel at first, then moved in with a friend. I didn't ask who. Didn't need to. I knew it wasn't just one person. We signed separation papers. The kids took it hard, but not as hard as I feared. Turns out, when the house is full of tension and fake smiles, kids feel it, even when you think you're hiding it well. My daughter told me, I'm glad you finally said something. It was like walking on eggshells every day. That wrecked me. but also freed me. I did text Noah. Not with hope. Just with honesty. I said, it's over. Not because of you. But I think you helped me find the courage to admit what was already broken. Thank you. He replied, you deserve peace. I'm proud of you. We haven't talked since. And that's okay. Maybe some people are just a flashlight in a dark room, not the person who stays once the lights are on. I'm not healed. Let's get that straight. I still cry in the shower. I still get hit by random waves of grief while folding laundry or hearing a certain song on the radio. But the difference now? I know I exist. I know I matter. I know I deserve someone who doesn't wait until I'm gone to notice I was there. Here's what I learned. You can't fix what someone else refuses to hold with you. You can't keep breathing for a relationship that keeps cutting off your air. And you can't love someone enough to make them stay if they've already left inside. The night I kicked Mark out, I didn't sleep. But for the first time in years, I didn't lie awake hoping for him to turn around. Because I knew, finally, that I had.